So, ladies and gentlemen, fanboys and girls, nerds, weeds, and otaku, welcome back and welcome home.
Hello there, Apple Buddies. This is your Apple Bite Written Writ Ralph talking to you straight from our show here, The Written Writ. And I have, of course, Matt Associate and a friend and pal from Justice for Hire, Jan Lucanus.
Hello.
Hey.
See, man, you throw on the freaking intro and all that energy comes from somewhere.
So, yeah, it's like energy that I didn't even know I had is just kind of returning to me.
That's a great
If
intro.
it was ever mine to begin with.
I felt like I was going into Super Saiyan mode.
Yeah, right? That's all we needed.
Yeah, right now Matt is working on the next one where we get all the new people like Matt herself.
Oh my god, I still need to do a thing for that.
Yeah. You're not the only one. There's like 5 people that still need to do their video.
Oh good, I'm not the only slacker. I'm so glad.
Yeah, even Cadna hasn't done hers yet. So.
Aw.
Yeah,
and Cadna does like film things for a living, doesn't she? Yeah.
Cadna does film things for a living.
Maybe that's why she hasn't done it yet.
Oh, most likely. She's probably busy doing something.
Like, I'm over this.
And then I'm usually her camera person, so if I haven't seen her. So Jan, dude, you are rocking and rolling here, getting things ready. Talk to us. So what's going on? Let the people know.
So today we are showing off the sneak peek of Justice for Hire, the story so far. You know, it's been a while literally years. For the last 5.5 years, we've been producing a show as a global community, and anybody can join the cast. And we've been letting folks on TikTok right now know that we're live, and they could be watching this on the Bit Apple TV channel. But we just dropped the on YouTube, and we'll drop it on other platforms later. The first minute of the JFH, the story so far, culmination of all of our work as a global community. So it's really going to set the tone for people knowing how they can collaborate with Justice for Hire, how they can create their own character, how they can plug themselves into the storyline and be part of the cinematic universe. And they can do it right now from our app, justiceforhire.app right now. And it's free to join, and like it's super fun. And we do obviously like we met Raph at an event that we do live events across the country. We shoot action scenes together as a community, and it's tons of fun. And we're building
so much fun, man.
So it's my honor and pleasure to be here to be able to present this. And it literally was just uploaded right before we got on. And that's justiceforhire.app. That's and if you go on desktop, you'll see that it says use your mobile. The desktop version, it does work kind of, but like really it's built for mobile. And it's super fun, man. Of course, we have our Justice for Hire is our first show for Real World, our first cinematic social network. And we're building out the company, and people can invest right now. We have 6 days left to invest on wefunder.com/realworld, so you can own part of the company. This is like a public offering. It's the first time we've done it, and we really want people to know that we're all about community ownership, community creativity, people owning their own characters, people being able to tell stories together and grow as a community. So definitely help us push these numbers up. We got 5 days left, and like I said, that's wefunder.com/realworld. Real World to own part of the company. And we have folks from Legion M. The president has invested in us.
Oh, nice.
So that's Jeff Anderson. So big shout out to Jeff. And Andy Russell, a big venture capitalist, just came on yesterday and did an interview with me. So really, really cool stuff. But today is really about showing off this Justice for Hire story so far so that people can see why we're doing this company in the first place, so we can make more shows like Justice for Hire, where people are coming together all across the world, playing characters. We think the future of Comic-Cons is all about characters and stories that we've created as a community. The future of Netflix is going to be people starring in the shows and movies that they love. And we're building technology to do that.
Dude, it's excellent. I still love this idea. When we did the whole thing in Urban Action Showcase, it was so much fun, and the concept, it's interesting because you're having the person be the character and the cameraman at the same time, and that's such an interesting concept.
Well, the Justice for Hire story lends itself to this type of filming. Like you grab your phone, and just like in real life, if you see a fight happening, if you see something going down, you need to be recording it. So in the Justice for Hire storyline,
anymore, everyone just grabs their phone and they just start filming it.
Yeah, I mean that happens all the time. So this found footage kind of aesthetic is a major part of the series, and we're really doing our best to future-proof ourselves with the concept, because what we're really talking about here is not simply an app that's like Uber for heroes where you can hire a hero or become one and get paid. It's really about a heroes culture and about people becoming heroes in their own lives and stepping up for each other. And since that's what our storyline really is about, we're focused on making sure that the app narrative grows with the community that's getting stronger and stronger in the sense of heroism. Like the only way to truly save the world is for everybody to be a hero. So that's what we're going toward, and you'll see that in this little teaser that we have coming up, which is 4K ready now too. I just checked it.
Nice.
Family of vigilantes. My dad, his best friend that's like my uncle, and his son that's like my brother. But I gave up that life due to burnout. After years of helping people, I didn't have anything to show for it. I was broke, divorced, living without my son, and teaching martial arts to survive. But when I witnessed a domestic violence incident that police couldn't respond to,
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
I finally had my billion-dollar business idea. I realized the only way to truly save the world is for everyone to be a hero. It's an app to hire a hero or become one and get paid. It unites heroes with people who need them.
For your bodyguards, please.
I love your app.
I knew in that moment that I and anyone that wanted to be a hero would never be broke again. Because justice is for hire. I'm gonna be so rich. We're all gonna be rich. Or at least after I help her for free, because that's the right thing to do.
You're pitching me some illegal vigilante app. This is just a little bit insane.
Justice for Hire, the story so far. JFA started in New York City, with me, Jan, aka Hero Number 0. I grew up in a family of vigilantes. My dad, his best friend that's like my uncle, and his son that's like my brother. But I gave up that life due to burnout. After years of helping people, I didn't have anything to show for it. I was broke, divorced, living without my son, and teaching martial arts to survive. But when I witnessed a domestic violence incident that police couldn't respond to,
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
I finally had my billion-dollar business idea. I realized the only way to truly save the world is for everyone to be a hero. It's an app to hire a hero or become one and get paid. It unites heroes with people who need them.
For your bodyguards, please.
I love your app.
I knew in that moment that I and anyone that wanted to be a hero would never be broke again. Because justice is for hire. I'm gonna be so rich. We're all gonna be rich. Or at least after I help her for free, because that's the right thing to do.
You're pitching me some illegal vigilante app.
So yeah, that is. I just sent you the link that we could actually queue up. I realized that the shorts plays over and over, so now you have the watch link. But yeah, that is the first minute of the story so far, and the what will drop Friday will have. It keeps expanding. It keeps escalating. You keep seeing the community growing, and people like around the nation like stepping up, and it's really really cool. I'm a big fan of the score done by Sage Michael, who's a dear like brother of mine, and Sage is he's done a bunch of stuff that folks would know, including Lobby Boys, which he produced that album with Jim Jones and Mano, and he's doing a bunch of stuff for Dave East now at Fabulous, and has worked with Ludacris and all these folks. So he's like been doing our score since college for me. So amazing guy, and yeah, it's super fun. There's a lot of there's a lot of real world crossover too. Like that guy right there at top, that's Brian Frumberg playing himself, and Brian is he ran or still runs Venture Out, which was one of the fourth most active startup accelerator in America. And so we came out of his program, and he decided to jump into the series, which is great. And you see Stone there, aka Stone, that we've all met at the Urban Action Showcase together. So he's right there, and it's folks from all walks of life coming together, telling a story together. We have UFC fighters, we have like Angelique Zambrana, who you met at Urban Action Showcase from Law and Order, and Arjali Jabad from like Phineas and Ferb, and all these folks coming together, and then just people who pick up their phone and join.
Dude, it's excellent. Folks, you saw the video a couple times only because we couldn't start it where it started, so I let it play twice.
I enjoyed watching it over again. I always do that with things that I like, where it's like, all right, I liked it the first time. Let me pay attention more the second time around.
Yeah, you pick up things on the second play.
I do appreciate like the sense of humor going throughout the whole thing. Like that's a very nice touch.
Thank you. We're really doing our best to create a tone that's like anime meets Arrested Development.
I love it.
I love that.
Yeah, you didn't go like the super grimdark like DC route with it, which I appreciate.
Well, I think when we first started in 2018, like really opening up the cinematic universe, because there's stuff in here from my like college days, so it's really like I use footage from everything that's ever been done for Justice for Hire very intentionally, because really what we're doing is we're focused on showing lore, that there's actually like a foundation to this vigilante justice narrative, and that as a former vigilante, I realized that my character realized that it didn't work out. Nothing's really truly changed if you're Batman sitting on a corner of a building with your cape in the rain. Like if he's still looking at crime years later, and he's a billionaire, and he's got all these assets that he could deploy in a different way other than punching. I love it, like they say in Batman Lego, he's like punching poor people. I love that. Yeah. It's such a hilarious thing to say. It's like
it's so what? On the nose though. Like, excuse the pun. it's accurate.
It really is, and it's like there's got to be a better way, and I don't think that punching is wrong. Like that's like I'm a martial artist, so like punching is part of it, and being able to take a punch and punch back to me is actually a big part of it. But it's not the solution necessarily. And to be able to say, hey, you know what, like we're going to fight, and we're going to find a better way, but fighting is always the last resort. And I love the way Jackie Chan handles it, where he's always running away from the fight. He's always trying to stop the fight. And I think that there's so much action to be had with that mentality of de-escalation and people coming together and saying, you know what, hey, we're going to step up and like do our best to quell the uprising of whatever threat there is. But if we need to, we can, throw hands.
Love Jackie Chan and the way he does things. And it's so funny because even with the cartoon that he did, it was that constant running, and you're just running with him, and he's just trying to get to where he needs to go or do what he needs to do.
And he also makes brilliant use of the scenery when he's running away, which is always great to watch.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm really seeking from a lot of action, and because we're not seeing it, I think it's not. Let me put it this way: there are folks who do Hong Kong style action cinema really, really well in the States. Eric Jacobus is one of them, and we've done a bunch of the superhero kung fu extravaganza for many years with Eric, and I would consider him, to me, he should have been cast as Daredevil. That's how like amazing Eric is, and I say it all the time. He does a lot of like Jackie Chan style stuff, and I'm like, very brilliant guy. And Jackie setting up the scene, as you mentioned, being able to utilize the environment.
Yep.
Those are very particular, very calculated choices as a filmmaker that Jackie makes. And so, I love that. I love what John Wick is doing, and you just have so much appreciation for the action genre, but I really haven't seen the level of like thought and empathy that I'm personally seeking in my own life. And to be able to say, you know what, let's shoot action that's more thoughtful. And I think one who's done a great job is the Sherlock Holmes movies. If you saw the Sherlock Holmes, both of them, first 1 and 2, there's a lot of thought in the actual execution of any move. And to me, that was so interesting, because it's like, well, hold on for a second. If there's that narration gives the audience context, and when you give the audience context, it feels more intense. And so, or it feels, at the very least, it's a different type of intensity than an average fight scene, or at the very least an average good fight scene. I think that there's a bunch of different ways to build intensity. I think Avengers Endgame is probably one of the greatest examples we have in history of Captain America getting Thor's hammer, and everyone just flipping out, and those viral videos of, I remember like tearing up, like I had tears running down my face.
Greatest movie to see in the theater.
Everybody in the audience had like simultaneously went like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But being able to build up to great moments, to me, takes so much true design. And what we're doing with this Story So Far video, and what we've been doing with our hero season, from the 5 episodes we released last year from November to December, is really doing our best to set the foundation, the tone. This is everything I'm saying really leads back to your comment on tone and the comedy that we're bringing into it. But it's not comedy like, ha ha ha, isn't this funny that we're doing this? Like, the intention is to be like, hey, this is real, and we actually have to find solutions. And there's a lot of humor in this pain. There's a lot of humor in this struggle. And if you just look at it from a certain way, we can feel a little bit more light about it and actually find a solution. And that to me is the intention.
It feels very much like, it's not like slapstick, but it's more of just like gallows humor, where it's just like, the situation is terrible, but we have to laugh about it. Otherwise, we'll just go insane.
That's great. I love that. It is terrible, and we have to laugh.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will.
It's so funny.
Otherwise, everything's terrible.
It's so funny though, because I feel like what the industry has turned into now is this dark, gritty stuff, and you sit there going, okay, yeah, well, it's dark, it's gritty, but I don't want dark gritty.
Yeah, but like, I have dark and gritty in real life. I don't need it in my fiction as well.
I do.
Of course, I knew you were gonna say that, Matt.
You know what?
You know exactly what my themes are. I don't know why this is surprising. This actually isn't even me being contrarian. This is just normal.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, no, it's not surprising.
Well, last week we talked about was the week before we talked about pitch meeting and honest trailer, and I forgot what the term is now, but it's like postmodernism, something. I forgot wherever we are in like a cultural artistic development cycle. We're in this phase where it's funnier, more fun, more entertaining to laugh at what we used to find entertaining, and laugh at breaking it down rather than actually enjoy it. Yeah. And I think that part of breaking out of that cycle, I posted a video a couple of days ago that you might have seen, which was about being embarrassed as an entrepreneur. And this was about real world, and this was about saying, hey, you know what? The challenges that I had going just onto WeFunder to offer the company to the public, it's just the challenge of getting it on that platform, and with the investors, and folks can look it up. It's pretty close to the top of all my my personal and real world profiles. But going through that, and then not feeling like I could talk about it, feeling like I had to hide it. Oh, there's some challenges. Well, how come you've raised so little capital on your campaign? Well, hold on for a second. Like, we weren't even focused on the campaign in the way that a person might normally be focused on it because of these factors. And if I don't share those factors, then I get that question, and the person doesn't have any understanding. And if I can at the very least give understanding, then I'll feel better. And whether or not me and the person I'm explaining to work together, collaborate in any way, at the very least, there's clarity. And so going for that clarity on a regular basis in my life and as a martial artist, relating to Justice for Hire, and as a businessman relating to real world, I'm just seeking that single line between thought, word, and deed everywhere. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me put these videos out. Let me address action in a similar way. And that's how we run our choreography sessions Friday night in North Hollywood. And anybody who's a part of the community is welcome. Everyone's welcome. As long as you've created like 3 videos on the app, you gain access to live choreography training for free, sponsored in help. So that's every Friday night, 7 p.m. at Shaolin American Self-Defense Academy. Big shout out to Sensei Donnie Jeffco, for that. So, but yeah, just being able to be more honest with ourselves. That's really what Real World's about. If you can look at yourself as a hero, you can transform yourself. Even as a villain, you can transform yourself by looking at yourself as something that you may not necessarily feel you are right now, and building a character around that. And that's what we're all focused on, you know, that honest portrayal, rather than laughing at, you know, the how cinema has distanced itself from its own reality, from like reality, you know.
I do appreciate you being really transparent on like the struggle behind the scenes, because that's something that a lot of people just don't talk about. Like, nobody wants to admit that they're having trouble. Nobody wants to admit that there's been like, you know, a failure of sorts. And like, just being able to go out there and say like, hey, you know, look at this campaign. This is why this happened. Like, that's why that happened. Like, a lot of people just don't do that.
Well, it's really interesting, like assumptions, like and being, you know, I came out of college. I went to NYU for film. Came out of NYU with like all this like energy, and I was really, really happy, and I loved this brightness I felt about myself and my perspective of the industry, and going in there and essentially dimming myself for the expectations of others was really interesting. The assumptions that other people might make. And I just felt myself systematically doing that unconsciously for years and years and years. And then I realized, like, I still can cultivating that light inwardly, but not showing it out as much. I'm like, hold on for a second. There are things that I know to be true. And then I'm watching other people who I'm sure don't know. Like, I'm absolutely sure they don't have this information, because I know I know the expertise that they claim to have, and that is different than this other expertise. And to watch people make assumptions about each other's expertise over and over and over again, and then systems that are built around expertise, such as, you know, a tech investor thinking that, oh, well, this is Hollywood, so you should probably be focusing on these things, or Hollywood investors saying, oh, well, that's technology, you should probably think about that. It's just like, you know, an action director, you know, thinking that a horror director might feel a certain way about something. Like, all these different like disconnects that by assuming something about somebody else. And so
it happens in comics too a lot. Like, oh, they can only write this, or like they can only draw that, and like
it happens
people
all the time.
Are pretty well rounded.
All walks of life. And like, just for me personally, I just got really like, yeah, like I'm in the process. Like, you're watching me now in the process of being like fed up with it and actually expressing myself differently. And to express myself with the level of clarity I wish to, oftentimes takes some production. You know, I mean,
gotta edit out all the cursing.
Yeah, well, not so much the cursing, but like really just making sure that I'm being very intentional with what information, how it chains together. Because to me, that's building a bridge. Like, the way we communicate can build a bridge to understanding. And so, you know, whether it's our platform Real World, building a bridge between like the social media world and like the legacy Hollywood way of developing story worlds, because that's one bridge we're building, or a bridge for a human being to use character and story to grow and change, like what we're doing with Justice for Hire. There's folks all across our community that have reached out to me saying, hey, this has changed my life. I've grown up with you guys. We've only been doing this for 5 years. People are saying they've grown up with us.
Oh my goodness.
You know? And I'm like, man, that's amazing. You know, like dude, getting that shout out from Raina. She's like a big martial artist, and like, you know, things like that. Just it's really, really cool to see people love and have that have been like watching us grow. And that's all been happening while I was feeling all this resistance from like all these different areas of like the startup world and Hollywood. And and I don't mean to villainize anybody. What I'm saying is that we're, because people are assuming we're not necessarily communicating in an optimized way. We can't get the best out of each other unless we communicate in a more optimized way. So I'm doing my best to embody that realization by saying, hey, let me just speak differently. You know?
Very smart. Yeah, I agree with everything like 10,000%. Like if people would just kind of like listen to what the other person has to say instead of, you know, thinking all of these other things, like life would be a lot easier. Communication would be a lot easier.
I really think we're going to have a golden age of humanity. I really do.
I hope so.
I think we're working toward that, and I think a lot of the challenges we face are just, you know, us working out the, you know, the different. We're smoothing out the like sandpaper on each other. We're smoothing each other out.
I like that. I like that metaphor.
I completely agree, and I'm hoping, you know, not even hoping. There has to be a moment of enlightenment. You know, if you believe in the world ending, then you know that it happens after the moment of enlightening, which hasn't happened.
Well,
just saying, folks.
If we end after an era of enlightenment, it's a good note to end on, I gotta say.
Exactly.
I'd rather that than everyone killing each other.
You know, have you guys read Grant Morrison's 21 Days? You have?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Okay, so for those who have not, so for those who are not aware of 21 Days, 21 Days was put out. It's essentially a story Bible, and it's a story Bible for Grant Morrison's retelling of the ancient Indian text, one of the oldest texts known to humanity, the Bhagavad Gita. And it's a big, you know, I was raised on those stories. And
so was I.
Oh, amazing. Okay, great. So 21 Days he did with Liquid Comics, which was Virgin Comics with Deepak Chopra and Gautam Chopra. And then they changed to Liquid Comics, and then Dynamite co-published this book called 21 Days, which I can move out of here and grab it. But essentially, like, it's my favorite artist, Mukesh Singh, did the art. And I got a chance to speak to Mukesh. He's an amazing, wonderful guy who I love. He sends me like really encouraging notes. He's my favorite artist, period. I want to have Mukesh Singh art all across my home. And the art that he puts in there is amazing. But I will say that the reason I'm mentioning this is along the lines of the end of an age of enlightenment. So the story of the Bhagavad Gita takes place at the end of a golden age. So it's the final battle. The entire book, the entire series, which is a story Bible for a television show pitch that Grant Morrison and Deepak Chopra were working on, is essentially the end of an era, the end of the golden age, the age of the superhumans, these gods, deities, gods and goddesses with these amazing, weapons.
Oh, it's 18 days.
Oh my gosh, 18 days?
Yeah.
I thought it was 21. Look at me.
I looked at 21 days and I was like, wait, why is 18 days coming up? And then I clicked on it. But,
You know, and then we got Raph over here.
Hey, I'm remembering it as 21 too.
Yeah, 18 is such a weird number.
Yeah, I gotta say 18. You know, as much as I like it because it's my birthday day, it is a weird number. 21 sounds like sense. 9/18.
Okay,
that's because you know what 9 plus 10 is.
I should have, but it ain't gonna happen. Dude, I for some reason 21 just like sounded right. I'm like, okay, 21.
It's 3 weeks.
I think I might be thinking of like a one of those. It was a 21. No, it's 16 blocks. That's like, wasn't that Bruce Willis and Mos Def? 16 blocks or something like that.
What 16 blocks? I think it was 16 blocks,
which is definitely not 16 blocks. The movie 16 blocks. This takes place in New York about getting like a criminal like 16 blocks away
through those 16 blocks. Yep.
Yeah, it's not actually 16 blocks. If you live in New York, it is not that. So.
Oh dear.
It's really disrespectful.
Oh dear. How many blocks are we really talking about here?
I think we're talking about
More.
it could be like 21, honestly.
Mm.
Yep, Bruce Willis and Mos Def. 16
There we
blocks.
go. It's a phenomenal movie. I remember a good feeling. My feeling might have just been wanting to see Mos Def in more films, which did not really happen outside of like Galaxy Quest.
He was in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy too,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Oh, okay. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Sometimes I know things.
That's why I like Mount Associate.
Fountain of useless information.
Because I'm usually all over the place.
I'm over here like playing with an action figure while I'm talking to you guys, so maybe that's why.
Nice.
Oh, tell them about the action figure.
I got Cyclops. I got Cyclops doing a rear naked choke on Ninja Spawn over here. So it's, I got to take a photo for my son because like he gets a McFarlane figure every month for his as like his allowance to draw regular McFarlane art because he makes fan art every month, and he's right now the most featured fan artist in the history of the 32-year history of Todd McFarlane's comics.
And you can show that right now. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is really special. This is the 7th time he's been featured, and this one I'll just pull this out because I gotta give him a shout out. My son Jet. So this is Gunslinger number 28, and Jet's very first piece of fan art was Gunslinger Spawn with wings in front of a moon. And it was like a little fan art that he did, and that was the very first piece that got featured in Todd's books, like in 2022. And so he's featured in this book, and it just so happens to have Gunslinger for the first time shown with wings.
Nice.
And so I was telling Jet, I'm like, hey man, it's quite possible that you were the first person to ever draw a Gunslinger like that in print. And so now he's like reconnected. Like this is his fan art in the back, but super fun stuff. And then today I had to go and pick up a couple issues of Gunslinger 32 with this beautiful Sergio Leone cover, inspired cover, because there's a letter from a fan in the back here that shouts out Jet, my son, and just really, really cool about. I want my son to understand that when you make art, it impacts people.
Yeah.
And so I picked up multiple copies so that he can have this in his room and remember that, hey, when he puts pen to paper, it affects other people's lives.
Amazing. It's so easy to forget that. Like as someone who does art for a living, it's so easy, especially when you're doing stuff by yourself, to think that like, oh, nobody's gonna see this. It doesn't matter. So like it's great to have that extra little push from someone from the outside who's like, hey, I love your stuff. Like keep being you.
It's amazing. Do you guys follow JT Barnett? Highly recommend following JT Barnett. So JT Barnett is he's like a social media. He's kind of like a agency advisor kind of guru, and he makes some really interesting videos. And he just said something that I really appreciate. He's like, make your content for just one person. If you're serving one person, that's like focus on that positive feedback loop of just giving to the person that cares. And when I think especially when you think Hollywood and you think scale, and that you can get so distracted by all these things that actually don't matter, because by focusing on these big things, you forget about potency. The potency is actually what creates a big thing. And so just that thing that actually like serves your core, that you are your audience, and by serving yourself in a certain way and saying things that others may need to hear that you need to hear, it's going to just have ripple effects. And the more I started applying that to Justice for Hire, the more I started seeing the impact that we can make as a community. And so that's I appreciate JT for reminding me of that.
That's something we all need to be reminded of, because I feel like one of the things you're doing, Janet, is that you have this excitement, you have this energy, you have this get up and go, and when people talk to you, they can feel that, and that's always important, especially as the person who's doing this project, because you're it's like we say all the time with people at Comic-Cons. They sit there at the table, and you can do a couple of things. One of the things is you sit there and you don't engage with the audience. which means that you're, you're not going to sell yourself.
Yeah, you're passing up a lot of opportunities for communication there.
Yeah, completely. And you're not doing that. You're doing that in front of the table, going, "Come check out my stuff. Come here, look at this," which is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be showing people what we want to show them. And I think you do a great job of doing that. You're a great spokesman for what you want.
Thank you, man. That really means a lot to me. I mean, like you saw in the video I put out 2 days ago, it was the Comic-Con training that, I'm passing out literally postcards, walking up to people and being like,
we've done that a bunch of times.
Really? And that's another like shout out to Virgin Comics and their CEO, who I just remember watching him walk in his suit around Comic-Con, and I don't want to butcher his name, so I will look it up but he's always been a sweet guy, and I just remember like he was the best dressed person at Comic-Con in 2009, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. Like we used to see them. We actually had a booth right by them back when I was really pushing my publishing company. And I just remember like learning so much from watching this guy in his suit walk around, passing out postcards with the people. And I was just like, man, like you gotta get on, hand and foot and do it.
That's hustle, man. That is hustle.
Yep.
And that's what we got to do. We got to hustle. Sometimes, people feel like your project should sell itself. I'm like, no, you need to be your spokesman for your project. You should be able to sell your project. You should be able to get people excited about your project. You should be able to go check this out. You should be the biggest fan of your own stuff.
Yeah, not only that, like just because you had one project that succeeded, it doesn't mean that the second project is gonna succeed. So you still have to put the same amount of effort into promoting that. Like the grind don't stop.
One of the things I love about Mata here is that anytime she does her Kickstarter, you feel the energy. You feel like she's going all out there to make sure that you see her project.
I have to be, because like if I'm not passionate about my own stuff, like who will be passionate? If you don't stick up for your own work, like who's going to stick up for you?
Exactly. And that, Jan, I feel like you are doing.
So I'm really interested here, like on what would you say? This is a question for everybody. What are your 3 most inspiring properties, like things that whether it's a comic book or a film or a show or a book without pictures that people apparently still read, or social media account, what are like your top 3 that are like power you to this day?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Like there are definitely things that powered me and inspired me, but I like, let's say like Sandman, the story Sandman by Neil Gaiman. Like it was beautifully done. It was like very much up my alley of like, a bunch of gods being assholes to each other. Like I love that stuff. But yeah, like while it is or was like a source of inspiration, I definitely don't like try to imitate that, if that makes sense, where it's just like, oh, this is a cool idea. This made me think of like something else to go off and like do this. It made me realize that like comic books don't have to be about superheroes, which was cool because I had this like, story idea that definitely was not a superhero story, but I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I can't do it as a comic because like, it's all capes and tights or whatever. So like when I read Sandman, it like blew my mind because it was not superhero-ish at all. All right, property number 2 would probably be, I'd say Japanese RPGs in general, like Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger. Like, if not for Chrono Trigger, I probably would have never started drawing because I thought the art for Chrono Trigger was so dope.
Oh my God,
so
beautiful.
Yeah, it was so good, and the story was great, and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then my head exploded, and I was like, I want to make my own stories. I want to draw my own characters. So like, shout out to Chrono Trigger. And in the later years, probably Castlevania. Like the Castlevania games, the artwork for the Castlevania games were always beautiful, very gothic. Like the music was great. It was just like really great atmosphere. That like while I don't draw like that, it's still one of those things where it's like I still try to draw with as much detail as like the Castlevania characters, but I don't do that sort of like very gothic looking like stuff, I guess. I'm still into more colorful things.
I have to say
Great.
one of my big inspirations is, of course, The Princess Bride. It's
As
just
you wish.
exactly. It's always in the back of my head. It's always that's kind of fun. Is what I'm looking at when I'm doing things. Even if I'm doing something serious, you want that type of fun happening while you're what you're doing. 'Cause, again, I feel like everybody's going into they gotta be dark and serious and moody, and
Like,
I'm like,
that's not a real movie. It had comedy in it. Like, really?
oh, right
Is,
away,
is
yeah.
that the bar?
Oh, and then they go, oh, it's not really a fantasy. I'm like, why is it not a fantasy? Oh, because it wasn't serious. I'm like, fantasy doesn't have to be serious.
Oh wow, then I guess I'm not making fantasy then, huh?
Exactly. And then that goes for my second thing, which is D&D and Vampire the Masquerade, because
Yeah.
I feel like it's so open. It's so open to interpretation. That it was one of those things that inspired my writing. And I've spoken on this many a times. The whole role playing aspect of things, the writing, the creating, the universes, the personal heroes, the personal villains, especially like Vampire the Masquerade, because Vampire the Masquerade is more of you're a villain and you're trying not to be as bad of a villain.
Yeah, it's not so much about the combat, but more about the scheming.
Exactly.
There's a lot of scheming in Vampire the Masquerade.
Scheming, it is so Machiavellian, and it's just amazing. And I between the two of D&D and Vampire the Masquerade, it really put my writing in a place where I'm like, okay, let's have some fun, which is Princess Bride. Let's do something creative, which is the role playing. And then I have to agree with you, Matta. I feel like if it wasn't for half of those Japanese RPGs that I played,
Because it was like it's a game, but there's a story and there's characters, and you're like following them around, and it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Because usually it's like, oh, stage 1, go do the thing. Stage 2, but here it's just like a continuous story that you're interacting with, and it's so
and again, there's humor, there's fun. It's epic, but at the same time, you're having fun. I really am tired of all this. It's not serious enough. It's not dark enough. It's not.
No,
I'm like,
serious stuff. Like it can't hold my attention for very long anymore. Like
I don't
I
know,
get
man.
bored.
The world is too serious.
Yeah, and I'm bored of the world. That's why I do fantasy stuff now.
How about you, Jen?
That's a powerful statement. I'm bored of the world. That's why I do fantasy. It's a very powerful statement.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to answer the question, but I have to say, boredom to me is one of the most amazing energies. Like it really is. It's boredom that's allowed me to transcend so many things in life, and and when I speak to people who have like addiction problems, like drug addiction, etc., I talk to them about the power of embracing boredom, because when you can embrace your boredom and realize that, hey, there's literally nothing left to surprise me with this thing, you can empower yourself to move away from that thing. And so I think boredom is really, really, really powerful. It's been transformative in my life. So I love the word. I think about it often.
Boredom is how I started drawing and writing too, because I was kind of like in that household where it's like, no, kids have to be quiet. You can't do anything. Like, don't make any noise. So it's like, okay, drawing and writing is really quiet. I can do that, and I won't be bored. So yeah.
Agreed.
I feel like my son has to. I have to still have to show him your stuff too. Like that's a great comment for him. 3 things. So I'll put them into categories. I'll say comics, video games, and movies. So and I'll blender them up, because it's really tough for me to say like the superhero narrative in my mind with my dad like being in the comic world, but also growing up in like a highly spiritual like martial arts family, and seeing the connection between like the martial arts, the spirituality. I would get like Hindu comic books, like even though I'm not Hindu, but like I would grow up with these Hindu comics and these characters, gods and goddesses, but they'd be so similar to the Marvel and DC heroes, and so they all kind of blended up to me. The one book that really pops out in my mind is Ann Nocente's Someplace Strange. That's one book that is a big deal in my life, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to take you guys on a little adventure, and we're going to go over here. I'm going to pull out Ann Nocente's Someplace Strange right now from my shelf, and here we go. I got it right here. There we go.
I like when we try.
Play Strange from Andocente. This is from Epic, which was a Marvel imprint. And as you can see, they did hodgepodge characters, like smashing characters together in the book as well. And it has this like really cool, I forgot what they call this kind of like emo punk style from like the I guess like 80s or something like
I want
that.
to
But
say like grunge or something, but
Yeah.
maybe.
it's not grunge per se, because grunge is more of a 90s aesthetic. And I believe this is an 80s book. I'm not sure. I can open it up.
I feel like it's the precursor to what grunge became.
Sorry, say it again.
I think it's a precursor to what grunge became.
Yeah, it definitely is, because like grunge was like Nirvana was grunge, and this was more of like the Flock of Seagulls guys look like this.
Exactly.
Oh my god, yeah.
I just watched the Flock of Seagulls run video. I love that song. Grand Theft Auto 4. Grand Theft Auto Vice City is the
Vice City. There you go. Anytime
song,
I hear that song, that's all I think about.
Dude, that game blew my mind. And so, but that's not the game I would add. So comics, I'd say Someplace Strange. On gaming, I'd say Illusion of Gaia. The Illusion
Oh my god,
of Gaia
I remember that. Yeah.
is like blew my mind, and it was kind of between Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger.
Yep.
Oh my god, I do love Secret of Mana also.
So and Secret of Mana just put out a video last week. There's some big release coming out, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm not sure what it is. Like they just showed somebody grew up like from childhood all the way to like I guess like semi-adulthood, like playing the game, and it was like it's supposed to be very emotional. I was watching it like on mute. I was like, this is good. It's good. So Illusion of Gaia had me calling Nintendo for tips, like the Nintendo Power Hotline.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm at this point, and they actually helped. They actually knew what to do.
Yeah, they would. Yeah. That's why I love Nintendo Power.
Yeah, if they didn't, they would have to change their name from Nintendo Power to something else, like Nintendo Don't Know. I don't know.
Don't know.
Well, yeah, I will. I'm adding a little tangent, kind of a cheat tangent here. But Nintendo Power, I had to start distancing myself from the magazine because I realized I'm like, this is propaganda for Nintendo only. And so, like, I started reading, and GamePro too. I realized that GamePro and Electronic Gaming Monthly started going this route as well, where the quality of the writing started becoming just like really basic and really like promotional. But there was one saving grace magazine, and this would be my fourth if we had a fourth. It was called Next Generation, a Next Generation magazine. I was 11 years old reading it, and it taught me how to write. I didn't know how to write truly until I read how clearly articulate these writers were, and they understood so much about industry, but they also understood so much about the creative, and they just gave consistent, amazing like commentary on all the things that are happening. It was my first magazine to see Trip Hawkins, these like video game CEOs, Dave Perry. I became a big fan of Dave Perry, so much to the point when I met him in person at the Hollywood and Games Summit. I wanted to give him a hug, and I was too scared to give him a hug. And then I made like a whole bunch of writing about why you should never be scared to ask for a hug. I should have given Dave Perry a hug, a consensual one.
Yes, so, I mean, the worst they can say is no.
Yeah, exactly. And so
and then you don't hug him. That's it.
But let's see. Andocente, Someplace Strange. We have Illusion of Gaia, which is really what makes me want to go to Angkor Wat. And
oh my god, that would be great.
Yeah, because there's an amazing part of the game in Angkor Wat that blew my mind. I was like, oh, where's this place? It's real? I need to go.
Yeah, and when you look at it, you're like, no, that has to be fake. But no. It
has to be fake, yeah.
It's really, I'd say my cinema is tied between Star Trek The Next Generation seasons 1 through 4.
Okay.
Or smashing together with Captain EO, Michael Jackson and George Lucas's, Disney film.
It's so funny that you say that, because I always feel like people have forgotten this, and then I feel like crazy because I go, don't you guys remember Captain EO? It was in Disney, and people go, what are you talking about?
No, you're hallucinating,
Captain EO shirts right now in the other room, like beautifully put away so that they don't get dirty, and one of them is kind of dirty. So I have 2 Captain EO shirts, and then I also have the Captain EO Marvel comic book, which was also put out by Epic, if I remember correctly. Actually, I could be wrong. Let me pull that away. It might be Eclipse. Eclipse may have put it out. So Yeah. Anyway, that's yeah, that's
Jack keeps giving us geek stuff over here. He's like, oh, let me look it up.
Love it.
Oh man, hey, Mr. Nat, I'm interested in hearing what your answer is if you're there.
Answer for in which regard and for which question of the many that
Well,
have been
Jan
asked?
has asked us what are the 3 most influential things, that have affected us. So what are your 3 most influential things?
Sandwiches.
No, sandwiches aren't even in the top 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, it would come down to things like Bionicle, Arknights, Fate. Pokemon had a little bit of an influence in there as well.
Pokemon influenced everybody, whether we liked it or not. I loved Pokemon though.
Yeah.
Arknights. I'm googling this right now.
Yeah, Arknights is going on right now.
Yeah, it's actually a game.
Really good. Ralph knows how much lore is in Fate and how much reading you have to do. Arknights is basically double that.
Very stylish.
Oh no, it's died down a little bit in the US, but it's still relatively huge in both Japan and
Arcanine
China.
was big for a while, and I think right now it's still there, but it's not as big as it was.
Nah, it's not as large. Make me sad. But yeah, those are probably the 4 biggest things that have affected the way how I interpret things.
I can see that. I had a feeling you were going to say anime and video games.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I know definitely the movies of the U.S. haven't really affected you.
I don't like movies, man. I don't like the theaters. I don't like movies too much. Yeah, no.
I have to ask this. So you don't like The Matrix or Akira or Avengers Infinity War?
I don't like The Matrix. I didn't care much for the Avengers movie.
What do you mean, the first one, which is, or you talk about Infinity War, which is art?
Or the whole thing.
If I'm honest, it's a lot of the series as a whole. Like, people hate me, but like I kind of liked Iron Man 2 more than any of the rest of the movies in the series, but it's just because like it felt like it fit in with what they were doing while each one was standalone and were slowly intertwined with each of them. And I don't feel like they gave much, like the characters had a lot of time to develop in a lot of them. So you're left really with like Civil War and Ultron, where the characters are already established and they continue on with what they have been established with.
Yeah. And a lot of the establishing happened in Civil War, which is a lot of it's one of the best movies that Marvel did.
Yeah, Civil War was good. I do remember a challenge like for me in the theater of the first Avengers movie, because I did not like the first Avengers movie when I was in the theater. I was actually very upset, and it used to take me a while to get me into the theater for a Marvel film, and that's not to say that I wasn't blown away by Infinity War, Civil War, Black Panther. I love those films. But overall, I was like, I'm not sure if all these are for me. However, looking at all of them as a single piece and watching them all in order, it is an undeniable achievement. It's like amazing what they've achieved with character arcs over time, because there are changes. And it's, I say all the time, what we do with Real World, what we're doing with Justice for Hire is really built on the back of what Marvel helped to establish in culture, which is that all these stories can happen simultaneously. And if it wasn't for that, people wouldn't know what a cinematic universe is, and we wouldn't be able to do our platform.
Yeah. But Ralph also means that like he knows I just don't like the movie theaters as a whole.
Yeah.
And like just this past weekend, I went to go see the Spy Family movie.
Oh, how was it?
It's good. I just don't like watching it in a theater.
Is it because there are people talking?
No, I just don't like the theater.
I'm like not allowed to go to theaters because I talk throughout movies and I get shushed a lot.
Yeah, like Shen, if she's listening in, could probably comment. I'll just hit her up just to see. But like she was with me, she had a great time watching it. But like for me, just sitting there in the theater and watching the movie, I just
You need
did
something
not
else
like
to
it.
do, don't you? You
Yeah.
can't. sit in one
No,
spot.
no,
No?
like I'd rather be home watching a movie than spending like $15 for a ticket. I didn't even pay for the ticket, mind you, and just
But
sitting
you
in.
felt it.
Yeah,
I get it. I get it.
and
It's
It's
like
totally valid point.
the movie, yeah, the theater movie experience.
yeah, I don't like that experience at all. And so
Yeah,
whenever
that's
like
totally valid.
people put things into like a cinematic sense and they primarily talk about it for like cinemas, I'm out of it. I don't like that cinematic experience because to me it just feels wrong.
Yeah, imagine paying $15 to go to a theater and then there's just some asshole behind you making witty remarks the whole time.
So Nate, I have to ask you a question then. If because I have felt similarly in the past about going to theaters, like that it is oftentimes not worth it. Right now I have an AMC stub, so I'm like, oh man, it's kind of really worth it. But like and I kind of like send my mom. I'm like, hey, I take my ticket, and they're like, they don't ask you for ID, so I'm like, take my ticket, and I go. So like that's a fun thing to be able to do, and not that I'm encouraging that at all. I'm not here.
Wink, wink,
Not,
nudge, nudge.
so,
We didn't hear nothing.
you didn't hear nothing. But I guess my question to you is there, in your mind, could there ever be something with you and your friends, like a screening? Would you want to go to a screening that is just you and let's say your close community of friends, that you're all watching it on a larger screen than a television?
Oh, they already know the answer, and that answer's no.
So now
Ralph is closing his eyes because he knows exactly what that is.
We've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to be in a larger screen in a private theater in someone's home?
Not really.
Okay, so you don't necessarily like the looking up, lean back experience. Is that what I'm hearing?
I haven't managed to figure out what exactly it is about, like
the vibe,
that quote unquote theater experience, but something about it it doesn't feel right or comfortable for me. There she is. Like Shen enjoys that movie experience. She goes about at least once a month just to go watch some movie.
Okay.
She usually ends up taking me sometimes now, and I just don't like it. I go along because she enjoys it.
the things you do for love.
Yeah.
I gotta
Like-
say, there's certain movies that have to be seen in the theater. You know, like you were saying, it's where me and Nat disagree. There's certain movies that you just have to see in the theater. Endgame in the theater is fantastic. It's amazing. I don't think I would have had the same experience if I saw it on a smaller screen. Also, it's also a communal experience. That Captain America scene was just something you needed to have with other people. But I've always said this about Die Hard, the movie. I watched Die Hard because I saw it when it came out in the theater, and then I saw it when it was on the small TV, and I don't like it on the small TV. I loved it in the theater, but anytime it comes onto the TV, I'm like, because it was just bigger than life. I feel like Die Hard is a movie that you need to see in the theater.
Have you seen Akira on the big screen? Okay.
I haven't.
It's pretty special.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like watching Transformers the movie in the big screen.
No. Oh,
Man, Transformers 1 is phenomenal.
it is. Just I don't
It was
want to
a
see
fun
that in the
movie.
movie.
Those low angle shots. They're just jumping over the camera. Come on now.
Yeah, and then you get the sound effects, full force, and everything. Like, yeah, it's an experience.
I have a lot of respect for Michael Bay. He does not cut back You know, like literally, like there'll be shots going. Like I think the first it's don't quote me on the number, but I counted for the opening scene of the opening sequence of Transformers. He did not cut back to a shot. Like that's true scale. Like to have so many angles that you don't have to cut back to a shot.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. I was like, man, this guy is amazing.
It's intense. I agree. Michael Bay is intense, but I feel like he needs to figure out which movies he needs to do like that, which movies he doesn't.
That's a hilarious thing to do.
There's definitely no filter there. Yeah.
Shed is saying here, I want to watch a Ghibli movie in theaters. At least
I saw Princess Mononoke in theaters, and it was beautiful.
It was amazing.
Beautiful.
And I put that up there because a Ghibli film has to be seen on the big screen.
Nausicaa is one of my favorite of all time. Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind, Waters of the Wind.
That was a good one. And you just have this epic feel when you're in the theater. You know, you can feel the Ghibli film.
I don't know. Maybe that's what I dislike about theaters, like the quote unquote theme and feel of like.
Matt doesn't want to feel. His heart is closed off to the world.
I guess I don't know.
You know what? I don't judge.
I don't. I don't like.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And I have to ask you: do you meditate?
Probably not.
Okay. At one point, I was meditating too much, and I couldn't go to the theater. I remember going to see. I was at Comic-Con in San Diego, going to see The Dark Knight, like for the first time with Heath Ledger's performance. I was meditating way too many hours per day at that point in my life, and I couldn't even look at Heath Ledger for where he went as an actor inside to like draw that character out of him. It was freaking me out. I was like looking at the floor almost the entire time, and I was like, man, I gotta meditate less. I can't get out of this theater.
He went to a dark place for that movie.
He went deep. It's an amazing performance. So definitely the best Joker.
10,000%.
It brought Joker to a different place, a different level. You know, I don't like the Dark Knight movies too much. You know, because I don't like a whiny, crying, quitting Batman. But you know, Keith was fantastic.
Dark Knight is the one of the trilogy that I like really is endeared because of Heath's performance. For me personally, like I'm like, man, this is amazing. And yeah, I really liked. I'll say this: Ben Affleck's Batman in The Flash, like where he said he finally figured out the character. I was like, oh man, now he's not going to play him anymore. But I actually really enjoyed his Batman in The Flash.
I think Ben did a fantastic job playing Batman. So you know. I just wish we would have seen a little bit more of them, but oh well. At least we got what we got. Oh man, folks! Of course, we're here geeking out, and you know what, Matt? Let's talk a little bit about what the beautiful thing that you've created.
Oh dear!
And you can tell the audience all about it.
Yeah, so this is the pre-launch page for my ongoing comic series, Sacrimony, A Tale of Love, Life, and Death, in no particular order. It is the story of a teenage girl who died, but then she got better. And as with all mysterious resurrection stories, there's a catch. The catch is that she now has demon wings that she has to hide from society, and she's just trying to have a normal life in a city that wants her dead yet again. So yeah, getting back to like, you know, Hindu mythology and stuff, there was definitely an influence here because there are like multiple gods, like some good, some evil, some kind of like morally ambiguous who kind of just like interact with mortals, ruin the world, rule the world. And yeah, there's lots of drama, there's pretty costumes. Yeah. And it's all drawn and written and edited and everything by me. I don't sleep much.
It's a one-woman show. She draws it, she writes it, she does the covers. Girl, I don't know how you do all that work.
I don't sleep. That's why. That's how.
It's just amazing, and on top of that, because you know the whole, you were working on this the last time, and something happened, so you had to redo this one, and you come back at it with a brand new cover. What the hell?
Spite. Like, all right, like, oh, thank you. Yeah, I had some extra time before the campaign launches because I have to wrap up the pages for CPS for John because that got funded. So I was like, you know what, I'll just do another cover while I'm waiting. 'Cause
This is beautiful, man. This cover.
Will
that
there
you-
be
you cover,
Flooshmallow
man.
stickers still?
there will still be Floofschmallow stickers for every
Let's
Flooshmallow!
go.
What,
Let's
what is
go.
Flooshmallow? I don't know what this
Floof is our friend Shanique. She is not only colorblind but also legally blind, but she still does amazing artwork, and she has stickers in this campaign.
Wow.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's such
She
a
is
trooper.
amazing.
Like,
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Dude,
So,
Sacramone is beautiful. It's amazing. Go check it out. Sign up to get notified, folks. Let's get her to 100. We were able to get her to 150 the last time. Maybe we
150.
can get her there again. Come on.
It'd be
Really
nice to
great,
get to
great.
250.
Great pitch.
250?
Oh, thank
That's a
you.
good goal. Let's do it, folks. 250. Come on.
If we can, that would be amazing. But
There's
yeah,
enough of you out there being secretive and not saying anything in the comments, but you can go support. Go.
yeah, go give it a follow. It costs you nothing. It helps me out. It helps my street cred. It boosts the campaign and the algorithm and all that. And yeah,
If we get to 150, will we get Bunny Girl sticker?
no,
Bunny Boy sticker?
possibly.
Let's go. Come on, guys. Time to use all my alt accounts.
I wish I had the Bunny Boy cover handy that I did for Sacramone 4. That was like my best selling cover. Gee, I wonder why. I'll have it under
nice too.
This is not comic advice, but bunnies tend to sell very
So,
well.
Thierry, were you able to find your other cover?
I was looking for it before the thing came on, and that's why I was late. I couldn't find it. So this is why I try to sell my original art, because if it's left in my room, it just disappears.
Dude, I always mention it because it's a beautiful cover and that glitter just stands out. It's just amazing to see how much it's actually better than the printed cover.
Yeah, because then you get the full effect of the glitter. You get all of the textures from like the traditional media, because it was traditionally painted with like watercolors and acrylic markers and glitter and all that stuff. So I will find it. I need to find it because I have to sell it.
I'm
That's
logging into my
true.
Kickstarter account to follow you right now.
Oh, thank you.
I haven't logged in like years because we did like a Kickstarter. 10 years ago. So going back.
Oh my god, I appreciate you.
All right, folks. We also have our friends from Hitpoint who are doing this fantastic card game. You guys really need to see that. You know what? I'll play the video so it gives us a moment to
I love the
relax
video.
here. And it's a great video.
Welcome to Hitpoint, an original multi-purpose card game where players engage in interactive battles either as a standalone trading card game or seamlessly integrate their customized deck into a tabletop role-playing adventure. When playing, your deck is your health, which is also your main resource to play cards. This keeps the game fast and simple while giving a satisfying visual effect to your character's exhaustion. Players build 60 card decks consisting of weapons, armor, attacks, and support cards. Each person begins the game with a complete set of weapons and armor, then the decks are shuffled. All players start the game by drawing 6 cards. Players roll a die to determine who goes first, and the player with the highest roll starts by drawing 1 card to begin their turn. Players get 1 action and 1 reaction to use, which resets at the beginning of each of their turns. Cards marked with an A use up an action, and cards marked with an R use up a reaction. Most cards have an exhaust cost, which is paid by flipping the top card of your deck to the exhaust zone. Cards in the exhaust zone may only be retrieved if you are healed, as they are then shuffled into your deck. When playing a card, simply follow what the card text says. When you play a card with power, roll the appropriate dice and add whatever bonuses match in the top left corner of the card. For example, if you play a card with the swords icon, which is the strength icon, you'll add the total amount of strength bonuses to your roll. These can be found on your armor. When an action is played, all players have a chance to respond with a reaction. Once all reactions have been played, all cards resolve in a reverse order and then play passes to the left. This process repeats for each person's turn until a player wins. Winning the game is simple. Outlast your opponents while having cards remaining in your deck and or your hand. This is exactly how the combat plays in the RPG. The only difference is that each player's deck size varies depending on their character's health. To create a character, players choose from a list of playable species and classes, each with its own unique skill tree. These skills will influence how you build and play your deck, although building your deck is completely customizable. Campaigns consist of a game master who guides the rest of the players through the world. The game master can build decks for each of the encounters or use pre-built monster stat blocks. This game utilizes a D20 mechanic, meaning players will use a D20 to overcome any non-combat obstacles we call conflicts. For example, if a player wants to search a room, they would roll a D20 and add any knowledge bonuses they have, and hopefully roll high enough to succeed. For more in-depth information, check out our complete rulebook on our website, hitpointgame.com. Back this Kickstarter and get access to our first set, Corruption of Hossphere, along with intro decks and branded merchandise. Get more out of life. Back Hit Point now.
There you have it, folks. Hit Point is an amazing game. We got a chance to check it out at Long Island Tabletop Gaming Expo, and you guys really need to get this for yourselves, folks. It's a great
Treat
game.
yourself. Treat yourself
Exactly.
to a cool card game. Also, guess what I found?
There we go. Now show it off.
Yes. This is the traditionally painted cover. It has glitter on it, as you can see, which really makes it pop. There's acrylic paints, markers,
Wow.
watercolor, everything that I could think of that would work for this piece. And yeah, it'll be up for sale. So somebody please take this off my hand so I don't destroy it by accident. Because this was in a pile of paper that it should not have been in the pile of.
That's why you couldn't find it, because it was in that pile
Could you
of
hold
paper.
that one more time? I just signed into my Kickstarter account, but I had to go reset the whole password.
Oh, sure.
Oh my gosh!
Wrong
It's
first
showing me- it's showing my
There
face.
you go.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
So yeah, this is hand drawn, like hand inked. All of the little details I did with ink, and then I colored over it with watercolors and all of the other things.
Wow, that's
And it
fantastic.
sparkles.
And Matt, how much are you selling that for?
I think I'm gonna try 350. I tried 450 the last time and I had no takers. So you know what? Getting it out of the house is the most important right now. Even though this thing took me like 30 hours to work on.
I feel you, because right now my collection is looking at me, and I'm gonna have to do something with it before I get a flood. And because I already
no.
lost a couple of them from the last big flood, and I don't feel like I want to lose them that way. I think they should go somewhere else and live long lives.
Yeah, and like a nice, loving, forever home where they'll be treated with respect, which is what I
Exactly.
always say about my own art. Because like, once I draw something, like I'm done. That's it. On to the next thing. Like let somebody else take it and appreciate it on a level that I probably won't.
Do you know who that sounds like? Shen.
You know, artists are beautiful people.
Yeah, I mean, Shen also is that sort of like, I just did this for fun type of
Yeah,
person. And like,
exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
I feel that because it's like you do it to see if you can. And then it's like, and also, you know, to share it with the people you care about. And then like, that's it. On to the next thing.
Yeah.
I vibe with Shen. I do.
Get her out of the house more.
All right, Jan, do your thing. Go for it.
My thing. Well, right now we're looking at the WeFunder page for Real World, and I have the hat on right now. And Real World's the first cinematic social network. Every video you post is part of a movie or show we're making together as a community. And our first show is Justice for Hire, which you saw the 1-minute sneak peek for our story so far. We'll drop the whole thing by Friday. But that's our first show, made with the global community. Anybody can join the cast and be a hero, a villain, or a client that hires them. So it's really, really fun. We want to make more movies and more shows like this. And again, the core of what we're doing, the why, is give people the ability to use their story, to tell their own story within a fantasy world, a cinematic universe, and meet new people doing the same thing, create characters, own their characters, treat their story like a franchise, and really, you know, at the end of the day, transform themselves as creators, and it's a really amazing process. And so I'm looking forward to sharing this with more and more people every single day. We've been working like crazy to not only push the campaign out with only 6 days left. It'll be about 5 days, but if you rewatch this, I shouldn't. Hold on. It's 9 minutes before having 5 days left, so I'll say 5 days.
Question about WeFunder. Like, is it like Kickstarter where it's all or nothing, or do you still get to keep whatever you've raised even though you didn't hit the goal?
So I'm under the impression that we need to clear the minimum of 50K to actually take the cash.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we have 5 days left. We're at 15,180. I have some commitments from folks who have not made the transfer yet. So hopefully within 5 days, they're going to do that. And, but yeah, it's like, please share this with anybody that, you think wants to be a part of this journey. It's really about community ownership. And, this is the first time we've opened our campaign up to our company up to the public so people can own part of it too. So it's a big deal. And here's the show.
And let's show this one more time so you guys can get an idea of what we're talking about here.
You may have to unmute. There we go.
Just a little bit insane.
Justice for Hire, the story so far. JFA started in New York City, with me, Jan, aka Hero Number 0. I grew up in a family of vigilantes. My dad, his best friend that's like my uncle, and his son that's like my brother. But I gave up that life due to burnout. After years of helping people, I didn't have anything to show for it. I was broke, divorced, living without my son, and teaching martial arts to survive. But when I witnessed a domestic violence incident that police couldn't respond to,
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
I finally had my billion-dollar business idea. I realized the only way to truly save the world is for everyone to be a hero. It's an app to hire a hero or become one and get paid. It unites heroes with people who need them.
We're your bodyguards, Lee.
I love your app.
I knew in that moment that I and anyone that wanted to be a hero would never be broke again. Because justice is for hire. I'm gonna be so rich. We're all gonna be rich. Or at least after I help her for free, because that's the right thing to do.
There you have it, folks. That is the beautiful video. And that's just a teaser to the whole thing you're gonna drop, right?
Yeah, that's one. It's less than 25% of the story so far. It's about 4.5 minutes long, so that's minute 1, and you'll see all the community. By the end of the week, you'll see all the community, everybody in there, and how all of us tie together. And again, like Real World, the process that we're doing is really about taking your story and telling it within a larger story. So for me, that the domestic violence incident that I talk about in the beginning of the show, the video, actually happened in real life. It actually happened while I was pitching Real World to an investor. And so that same investor came to be in the scene that we shot where
Nice.
something similar happens, and we made it part of Justice for Hire. So just really, really, and like that one moment inspired me to think about Justice for Hire as this app where anybody can help each other. And so it's very meta for me, but again, the process that I'm taking is actually a similar process that anybody would take, where you come up with the name of your character and you tell your story from wherever you are in the world as a hero or villain in this shared cinematic universe that on an app that's like Uber for heroes. That's fun. And that's our first show for Real World. So if you want to see more shows like that, whether it's fantasy or action or horror or any genre you can think of, romantic comedy, you can just go to wefunder.com/realworld. That's REELWURLD. It's on my name here in the bottom too. And, join us and invest in what we're doing and build out more with us. A bunch of cool perks too for investors.
Not gonna lie, a shared horror universe sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I think horror is going to be like the top performing. Once we build out the platform, I would be shocked if horror is not like one of the top performing.
Yeah,
It's just like
people
it's
come
so
up
easy
with
to
some
make
weird
horror
stuff.
around the world.
There you have it, folks. I put it in the comments sections to make it easier for you to go find. Go check it out. You also will find the Kickstarter for Meta Sorcier, the Hit Point one. I should put that in right now. And that way you guys can just check it in the comments section, and it's easier to find, even though it's in the description for the video already. So, what are you guys waiting for?
Yeah, seriously, there's no excuse. Also, let's get this Real World funded because this needs to happen.
Oh, definitely. I love this. I love what I saw at the Urban Action Showcase. I love what you guys are doing. It's just amazing. And Andrew, you just missed a bunch of great stuff.
Oh my
there.
goodness.
You
Late
should
to
go
the party.
check all that stuff out that we just showed. Check the links out, and they'll take you to where we got to go. But Andrew, it's great seeing you. Andrew is a great map maker and artist. Of course, yeah. Matta knows Andrew too, right?
Yeah, I know him. I met him in real life. We go way back. Oh my god, we go way back. Like 13 years way
Bronco
back.
Comics.
Yeah.
Oh man. dudes. You guys, come on, folks. We are geeks. We support each other. We raise each other up. That's what we do. It's easier to rise if we're raising each other up. So, folks, go support all these lovely people. Sometimes it's easy, especially with Meta right now. All you got to do is go sign up to get notified.
Just follow the thing. And,
Exactly.
if you like what you see when it goes live, check out the first issue, check out all the issues. Like, as long as you read the thing, I'll be happy.
And, of course, sharing is caring, folks. If you can't support, just share. Share the hell out of it. Somebody that you share it to might be able to support it.
Yeah, it might be their gem. If it's not your gem, it might be someone else's.
And it goes Andrew saying, 13 years, D&D bound.
Comics bound as well.
Exactly.
Trauma bound probably on some level, but that comes with comics, I guess.
Oh, comics are always a beautiful thing.
Traumatic, but beautiful.
So Andrew's saying, how much?
How much what?
I'm guessing he's
all of
asking
it. The answer is all of it.
$10 million.
Whoa,
We'll also accept payment in pesos.
I was asking about how much trauma. I was like,
all of it. The answer is still all of it.
$10 million worth of
Put in
trauma.
as much money as you can, especially with Jan's project or even Matta's project. There's always an option. If you can't do the full thing, if you can't get the book, you can put $1 in. Dollars help a lot. Dollars help out a lot.
Yeah, it increases the backer count. It makes other people go like, "Hey, someone else backed this. Like, maybe I should back it too." Like, it's definitely a domino effect.
The same thing with Jan. You give them $1, and then another person gives them $1, and then another person gives them $1, and then another person.
Actually, it doesn't work like that on WeFunder. Like, I wish it did. No, for WeFunder, the minimum investment's $100, and there's a 30% early bird investor discount. So essentially, it comes in around $70.
Good to know.
That's good to know.
Actually, the minimum investment may still be $100, but I think you get it like $1.30, $130. Like, so it's like a 70. You get like a 30% bonus. So, but yeah, it happens on WeFunder, and WeFunder we're selling stock, so it's a little bit. It's their rules in terms of like the amount, the minimum. Because I have asked about that in the past, because folks at Comic-Con, walking around trying to sell sell stock in the company with postcards and popcorn. The popcorn machine is right over here.
I mean, also, like, what a cool.
There's the popcorn machine.
Yes. What a cool thing to invest in, though. Instead of investing in like Amazon or whatever, like invest in like a cool small startup doing this like very niche thing. Like, that's where your money should go.
You're describing
Amazon has enough
Amazon.
money.
All about niche. All about making sure that people in a niche feel like they have a community to create with.
Love it.
Yeah. I like a big part of that inspiration was seeing something called what do they call those guys? Niantic. You know what I'm talking about?
Niantic, yeah.
I remember when
they did Pokemon Go. Their first project was Ingress. Yes.
I loved Ingress. That was fun.
I blew my mind when I saw that people were meeting. I was on my way to Comic-Con in 2015 on the train, and I saw because of my martial arts background, I'm like really close to a lot of military and like police folks and stuff like that. So I see an Army Ranger, and I go up to him. I'm like, "Hey man, thanks for your service. How you doing? You come to Comic-Con?" I'm like inviting him to our booth, and he tells me about Ingress. He's like, "No, I'm going to Ingress." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I met my wife on Ingress." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it's like he tells me like this capture the flag game on mobile. I'm like, "What? People are meeting up in person to like play a game and come around," and like blew my mind. Amazing. And I was like, wow, that's actually the future of movies, like and making film and cinema together. It's like us using these phones to come together, to join forces, to share our stories and to create new stories together. So that's exactly what we're doing with Justice for Hire. That's what Raph's been a part of at our Urban Action Showcase events. And that's we're scaling everything. We're scaling our platform and more events, going on tour, making more shows with our community. So it's gonna be great. Join us.
If anything, go to the site and on your phones and become one of the heroes. You gotta just do a little video about your hero.
Yeah, it's free. JusticeForHire.app. You can go there right now for free and join.
Definitely, and because if I show it to you, and I will show it to you here on the beautiful computer, it kind of doesn't. It's better on the phone.
It says we're raising cash to make the desktop experience better.
There we
In
go.
part.
That's a good pitch.
That's a great pitch.
Hey, you want this to look better? Press this button.
Give my
Exactly.
details.
Andrew says I did a few GPS treasure hunts and GPS spy games, and
Oh,
of course
those are-
LARPing.
Oh, I get a LARPing.
LARPing's fantastic. Jan, I think you should do like an event where it's like a LARP slash Heroes for Hire. Heroes Justice for Hire type of thing.
Absolutely. That is a big part of the conversations we're having right now. And we did an amazing panel for New York Comic Con in 2020 called Your Cinematic Universe. And we had a LARPing, a LARP master on there, like really one of the figureheads. And I'm so tired right now, not to butcher anybody's name, so I'm pulling it up right now. But yeah, it's I'm just gonna put the link in here for you guys. If you ever want to see some really cool thought leadership stuff, Ahmed Best is on the panel from Star Wars. He's a jiu-jitsu buddy. Jeff Gomez, who's he's running the Ultraman property right now. He's one of our advisors for Real World. He's on the panel. I just dropped it in the chat. But anyone who's likes LARP, Danny Fingeroth, former editor-in-chief of Spider-Man, editor of the Spider-Man comics, is on the panel. It's really, really cool. So, but our LARP master's on there too. And let's see if I can.
There you go. I shared the link to the comment section, folks. Now you can go check it out yourselves.
There's no excuse not to.
Exactly. All right, folks. Do we have anything else before we go?
Chirp, 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 chirp.
I thought Nat was going to say something.
Oh, you want me to do the thing? Well, Cold Cutter is coming down to us last week. And then we got Pat Shand, whose current Kickstarter is wrapping up, and then he got another one ready. Then we also have Richard with Got Cement.
If Pat
And
Shand
that's
isn't running a Kickstarter campaign, hell officially froze over.
What?
Like,
No,
that's
that's just how you know if we're in a depression or not.
No, that's the sign of the end times. That's like you go outside and you start hoarding cans of spam or something because the end is coming.
Man, that man works, man. He works his butt off. Talk about hustle.
I have no idea how somebody writes so many stories so quickly. I can barely handle the two I'm doing. Jeez.
I can barely. I'm a writer. I can barely handle half the stuff I'm doing. Woo.
I got the name. It's Aaron Vanek. Aaron Vanek, LARP King. That's. I mean, I don't want to undersell him. He's like a real cornerstone of the LARP community. So Aaron Vanek is on the panel too.
Cool.
See, folks, you have a lot of stuff to go check out on that beautiful little video that I put into the comment section there below. Andrew says, "I'm happy to see urban shows asses."
I don't know. I'm too sleepy for this. Dude, I spent 2 hours at the gym and then I went to Costco, and guess which was more exhausting? Costco.
I was about to say Costco.
Did you go to the wholesale Costco, the one where you could get whole pigs for $32?
I really don't need a whole pig for $32.
But it's a whole pig. You can make so much food.
I'm sure I can, but I don't even have.
You could invite us over and we will cook it for you.
Wow.
Okay, that sounds tempting.
What were you saying, John?
Put it on the table.
I was just wondering what kind of training you did at the gym.
Oh, I just do some lifting and cardio and stuff. Just trying to stay in shape or get back in shape because, oh man, the pandemic killed me and I still haven't recovered from that.
I'm still trying to recover from that pandemic.
Yeah, I gained the Quarren 30. It's not great.
See, even Andrew said he's a chef. We will go over to your house and cook for you.
You underestimate exactly how small my kitchen is.
You underestimate what we can cook with.
Wow.
I don't know. I'll just get out of the house and whatever happens, happens.
Are you guys in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. We're all in New York.
It looks so bright outside.
The Bronx, you got Queens.
Oh no, that's not outside. That's her little orchid.
Yeah, that's my
makes
terrarium.
sense. I was like, where in the world is she?
It does look like it's the sun coming in.
I thought it was. I was just coloring, like I'm coloring the rest of the story so far, and I was just putting like I'm in Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve, doing like windows to bring light out of like literally like coloring windows on a window to pull light out. So I'm like, this is what an amazing window she's got going on there.
It's just plants.
Probably like 9 hours behind.
Oh my goodness.
That's right. I forgot you're over there.
I'm in LA, so it's not. It's later for you guys. Just past midnight.
It's just past midnight over here.
It is way past my bedtime.
With that, folks, I'm gonna say with that, folks, I'm gonna say that we're at the 30 mark, which means we should have been finished.
Oh dear. Oh yeah, did you do something weird at 35 or something?
That's how it's been.
That's when Ralph drinks 3 Red Bulls and we get Macho Man.
That's also when I turned into a pumpkin.
Yeah. Macho Man Randy Savage.
Or turned back into a pumpkin because I'm actually a pumpkin and not a person.
You got the mad associate.
Andrew's actually been putting out all the information for you. He's a real chef with culinary arts school and 7 years of experience.
Yep.
Until comics came a calling. So, you sure you don't want us there cooking you a meal?
Wow.
That's a good place to end this, folks.
A good night.
We will pull up right now. You know this.
My God.
Like I always say, folks.
Let me sleep first. I get so little sleep.
Sleep while we cook.
I'll press the button, and where it stops.
And I wake